Group B is going to be a very tricky one to predict from now on, right guys? Because these results were not expected by most. Colombia 2, Argentina 0, and in the other fixture which was played today, Paraguay 2, Qatar 2. Qatar came from behind after being 2-0 down to pick up a very crucial point. And I heard the commentators saying that it's an upset. But the thing is, how could it be an upset if you are playing the Asian champions? Talk about underestimating the teams from Asia. I did, however, predict Qatar not to go through from this group, but yesterday when I made my prediction video, I did predict them to pick up a 1-1 draw, and they picked up a draw. So kudos to me. But enough about me, let's talk about the game, man. The Asian champions versus Paraguay. This is Paraguay's 16th game at the Maracana, and they have not won a single one. And today, when it seemed like they were gonna break the hoodoo in the Brazilian stadium, it didn't happen. Qatar fought back to come from behind to pick up a point. The match goals were scored by veteran striker Oscar Cardozo in the 4th minute when he converted a penalty. Then in the second half, substitute Derlis Gonzalez put Paraguay 2-0 up after he scored a screamer of a goal from outside the box. Qatar fought back and they scored in the 68th minute through Almoez Ali, and they kept fighting and picked up an equalizer 10 minutes later through Bulem Cookie. The new Paraguayan coach Eduardo Barizzo, who took over from Juan Carlos Osorio earlier in the year, chose to go in with a 4-2-3-1 formation with Fernandez in goal, Valdez at right back, at left back Arzamendia, and in the center back positions we had Balbuena and Alonso. In the middle of the field we had Ortiz and Rojas, and ahead of them we had Perez, Almiron, and Dominguez. Almiron was a live wire in today's fixture. Up top was the load man veteran striker Oscar Cardozo. For the Asian champions and the 2022 World Cup hosts, who will be using these two Copa Americas as a warm-up to the 2022 World Cup, Felix Sanchez, their boss, who I think will be there for the 2022 World Cup. Hopefully, let's keep our fingers crossed, because he has done a great job with this team, winning the 2019 Asian Cup, and no one expected that. No one really did. It was hosted by UAE. They didn't have any fans at the tournament and they still won it. In this game, Felix Sanchez played a 4-4-1-1 formation with Al-Shib in goal, Al-Rai, Roro, Salman, and Hassan at the back. Then we had Akram Afif, Bulem Cookie, Madibo, and Hassan Al-Haydos, the captain, in midfield, with Abdul Aziz Hatem playing just behind the young and prolific striker Almoez Ali, who was the Asian Cup's top goal scorer. This is the 4th meeting between Paraguay and Qatar. They played 3 previous friendlies with 1 win for Qatar, 1 win for Paraguay, and 1 match ending in a draw. You could add today's draw to the list as well. But Qatar will definitely be walking off the field the happier of the two teams, because they did not start the game well at all. Disaster almost struck in the 1st minute when there was a scramble for the ball. The goalkeeper let it get away from him. But a minute later, disaster struck when Pedro Miguel handed the ball after it came off the head of the Paraguayan player. The referee pointed straight to the spot, and up stepped the veteran striker Oscar Cardozo, and he belted it in the back of the net past Al-Shib. 1-0 to Paraguay. In the first 10 minutes, Qatar looked really unsettled, but they began to play themselves in the game, and around the 15-16th minute mark, they almost scored, but neither of the two Qatari players could convert the ball into the back of the net. After Paraguay scored early, the game began to open up just a bit more, with Qatar beginning to control the possession. And up until the 30th minute or so, Qatar looked really good, keeping the ball very well without threatening too much. Paraguay began to play themselves back into the game at the back end of the first half. But as I said, it was a wide open game and possession changed hands very often. Qatar had a few chances at the end of the first half, but they were unable to pick up an equalizer. I could remember in the 38th minute when Abdul Aziz Hatem had a brilliant chance to score. The ball came over, a nice loopy ball. He stayed onside, but he smashed it straight into the keeper. And in first half extra time, Almoez Ali got in on goal, but he also hit his ball straight to the goalkeeper. who pulled off a pretty decent save. So you gotta give him props for that. Coming into the second half, Berizzo made a very, very good decision by bringing on the attacking player Derlis Gonzalez for Perez, and it proved to be the right move, and it paid dividends very early in the second half. There was a ball played over on the right-hand side. Derlis Gonzalez got away, passed it in. It ended up in the back of the net after a Cardozo tap-in. But on a VAR replay, Gonzalez was deemed to be offside and the goal was overturned. Paraguay kept their feet on the gas and they continued to press. We had Almiron and Derlis Gonzalez linking up nicely. Gonzalez cutting in from the left-hand side, and he shoot from distance and beat Al-Shib in goal. That's one of the goals of the tournament, definitely. Everton with that goal, and then we had Roger Martinez with another stunner, and then today again, Derlis Gonzalez with another one. That was a really good goal. It will definitely go down for one of the best goals of the tournament, and Paraguay were 2-0 up, and at that point I'm saying like, oh boy, it seems like Qatar are gonna get smashed out of this tournament. They have to play Colombia, they have to play Argentina, and it's not looking so good in this game versus Paraguay, despite Qatar looking the better of the two teams overall in terms of keeping possession and moving the ball. But knowing that Qatar is the Asian champions, I said to myself, like, Qatar has to fight and come back into this game, and they did just so. After a brilliant build-up play, Almoez Ali collected the ball and he cut in from the left-hand side and he shoot, and his deflected shot beat the goalkeeper to bring Qatar back into the game. It seems like that's where most players are scoring their goals, cutting in from the left, shooting with their rights. We have seen about 4 goals so far in the tournament like that. But the Asian Cup top scorer did the business again for the 2022 World Cup host. Almoez Ali, guys. If you don't know that name, remember that name, look him up. Look him up. And with Qatar coming back into the game with that goal, their spirits seemed to be lifted, and they continued to attack, and another sweet build-up play involving Akram Afif. He passed it nicely through the Paraguayan defense. He cut it open with such a precise pass, and Bulem Cookie was on the end of it, but his weak shot was saved by the goalkeeper. It looped up, it was heading into the back of the net, and the defender helped it into the back of the net, and he got tangled up. He was so tangled, I think they had to take him off injured. I haven't seen something like that in a very, very long time. But Qatar was back in the game after being 2-0 down, and it just shows how gritty this team is. They have a never ever say die attitude. The game went on. It was a very, very physical, very feisty contest. A lot of players got hurt in this game. A lot of head injuries, busted lips, busted mouths, busted teeth, busted heads, but it's all part of the game. At the back end of the game, Qatar continued to boss possession and they almost scored the winner, but Almoez Ali wasn't clinical enough to lay the ball off to Akram Afif, and the game ended 2-2. A nice draw for Qatar. Paraguay almost lost this game at the end. Qatar had quite a few chances that they could have punished this Paraguayan team, and they would walk off the field feeling really, really aggrieved. They will be kicking themselves after giving up a 2-0 advantage. Picking up 3 points in their opening match would have been a big confident booster going into the next fixture. And their next fixture won't be easy because they will be facing Argentina on Wednesday the 19th of June, while Qatar take on Colombia on the exact same date. Those matches will be ones to look forward to because it's interesting to see how Argentina would approach this game versus Paraguay, because as we saw, Paraguay looks to be a decent team, and the way Argentina are playing right now, Paraguay would fancy their chances to at least pick up a point. As for the Qatar-Colombia game, Colombia remain favorites to win this, but as we saw today, you can never ever write off this Qatari team. I had them coming in last in the group, but right now, Qatar could actually move on to the next round, at least as one of the best third place teams. But great game by Carlos Sanchez and his boys. They fought back well, but for Eduardo Berizzo and his boys, they will be ruined dropping 2 points here because they were on course to win this game. They screwed up. Man of the match for me, I'm gonna give it to a Qatari player, and I'm gonna say it's Akram Afif. He is controlling the midfield like a boss. So look out for this player. If you don't know much about him, look him up. He was very instrumental in Qatar winning the 2019 Asian Cup. This Qatari team is one to watch. They will be together for a very, very long time because the team is very, very young. Hassan Al-Heidos looked good. Akram Afif, as I mentioned. Almoez Ali, Abdul Aziz Hatem looks good. The defenders look solid. But the only concern for me is the players on the wings. They look a little vulnerable on the wings. We have a Group C match playing between Ecuador and Uruguay just after I'm done making this video. And tomorrow we will have Japan taking on Chile. I went for Uruguay to defeat Ecuador, and I'm going for Chile to defeat Japan. I'm going for a 2-0 victory for Chile. This Japanese team is not really proven, have a lot of inexperienced players in the team, also have some very experienced players, but I don't know if they can keep up with the pace against a South American team. But then again, this Chilean team is kind of up there in age as well, but we don't know the 11 that the manager Rueda will field. So I'm going for a Chile win, Uruguay win to kick off Group C. So guys, a roundup of the Group B matches: Argentina 0, Colombia 2, Qatar 2, Paraguay 2. So guys, I'm your boy Dominic Rich. If you're new around here, consider hitting the subscribe button, smash the thumbs up button, and in the comment section down below, do you think one of these Asian teams could make it far in this tournament? You're gonna have a double feature today because I have to talk about the Uruguay-Ecuador match. So guys, thanks for watching, and until next time, I like to say peace out, Rich Squad.